So, welcome to the MBS Plugin presentation. My name is Schmitz. I'm the CEO of Monkey Bread Software and the main developer. But we also have Stephanie here to help me. So, the MBS FileMaker plugin is what we do, and we do it since 2006. Quick math, 17 years. It's a long time. We collected over 7,000 functions. That's a lot. 300 new ones this year already. Over 600 example databases. So if you have a week of holiday, you can try them all. But a lot of people just go and open an example database, see how it works, copy the script over to their solution, and get the job done quite quickly. The plugin is delivered as one file. You don't have to install anything else. It's easy to install and upgrade, and only the used parts are active. So for a lot of functionality, you have to explicitly call a function to turn them on, but otherwise the plugin is just waiting for your commands. You can install the plugin automatically with the install script step from FileMaker. We have a sample file to show you how to do that. So you can automatically install the plugin on all your clients' computers. Or just drop the right file in the right folder, and that's it. We support several versions of FileMaker. So the version 22 is supported since 13.4, but you can also use older versions, 21. So I have to adjust the plugin for the new version. Sometimes Claris changes something, and I have to change my plugin, so it still works. But you can even use our current plugin on very old versions. Like on Windows, you can still use our plugin with version 7 of FileMaker. So you may on Mac go back to 8.5, but nowadays we require macOS 10.13 as a minimum. But you can find older versions on our website. And on Windows, we need Windows 8 nowadays. But we still have a version for Windows 7. You can use a plugin in FileMaker Pro and Claris Pro, of course, on Mac and Windows. And you can use a plugin in FileMaker Server or Claris Server. You can use it for perform script on server scripts, with WebDirect, with Data API, and with scheduled scripts. And since WebDirect and Data API are separate processes, there are actually 3 plugins folder on the server. So if you install it manually, you have to copy the same plugin file into 3 folders. You can use the plugin on Mac, Windows, and Linux. I think we were the first plugin to run on Linux server. And you can use a plugin on iOS, but only if you use the FileMaker iOS SDK to make your own version of the FileMaker Go app with your own icon, your own name, your own start database, and then you can embed the plugin. And if you don't know how to do that, there is a service from Honza with his Xcode, so he will do it for you. If you use FileMaker Go, you can still use perform script on server. And we have some customers using that. For example, you can trigger a script on the server to use a plugin function to make a barcode, put it in a container field, and then show it on your layout on FileMaker Go. MBS plugin has one central function. We can't put 7,000 functions in the calculation dialog. That would be horrible. And the first parameter is the function name, which can come from a calculation or from a field. So you can do a very dynamic script to pick its commands from a table if you want. You can check the error state. The plugin keeps error state per thread, so on a server you can have several scripts running in parallel, and every script has their own error state. And also you can check the error messages returned by the plugin for the MBS prefix, but please use the error state because otherwise you can't distinguish between. We just return you the text and we return error. Some functions take reference parameters, like for example, if you call JSON parse, you pass in your JSON, you get back an ID. This ID refers to the JSON object in memory. And then you can maybe make 20 calls to various JSON functions to work on this JSON object. And we don't need to parse the same JSON text again and again and again, which would slow down it a lot. But you are responsible for calling the release function to free up. And about every month, I get a customer who's telling me his server is using too much memory and starts crashing because they just loaded 10,000 pictures over a month and never released them. So you can fill up your memory. So let's update you. What's new in the plugin? I don't want to repeat everything we have. I just want to highlight a few of the changes. 300 new functions, yeah. So we got JSON functions. Everyone loves JSON for data exchange with web services. We got a query function using JSON parse, looks like this, where you can ask in a JSON block of text, please find me a node, for example here, find me the store. Then there's a book array. From the book array, please pick the one with the price below 10. And from the resulting JSON blocks you found, please give me the field author. And then you just get a list of names. And if you have a big JSON block and you like to analyze it a little bit, find some records, you can make a lot of queries. You can use regular expressions if you want, like find me all strings matching a certain pattern, find me records matching a certain value. And if you want more, there's also a search function. It works similar, but it allows you piping. So you can, for example, here find all the records again for books below 10 bucks, and then sort the list. And if the query returns a list of text, you can also just concat them to one big string. And we got a replace function because the search or the query, they find you a field in your JSON. Like you could say, I need to find all these books with a certain price and change the price to a new value. So you can pick something in the JSON somewhere, matching a criteria, and then you can just change the value. And we also got functions to convert a JSON array to a quick list and back. So you may know if you loop over a lot of data with JSON, you may have to do this queries, get me the JSON array entry, and this takes longer than if you would just ask the plugin to make a list with your JSONs, then walk over the list, modify them, and then put them back into a big JSON block. And we got functions for MongoDB. I can say Claris started to talk about MongoDB. I thought that's useful. A lot of customers have MongoDB. So let's see if we can connect from FileMaker to a MongoDB and run a few queries. In MongoDB, you have collections for tables, you have documents for records. Everything is stored as JSON or internally BSON, which is the binary version of JSON. And we can do insert, update, upsert. Upsert is if you make an insert if you can't find the record to update. So you either update it or you make a new one. You can use transaction if you want with a plugin. So you can have two edits in your MongoDB, either happening together or never. So you can catch errors better. You can watch changes in your MongoDB and get notified for changes, and then you can process those changes, for example, to make an audit log or to have changes happening in MongoDB. You are watching with FileMaker. You see that a new record is created, so you can sync that change to FileMaker. You can use aggregate functions. There's a long list of aggregate functions. I just picked a few. Like you can filter by something, you can sort automatically, you can group items. And so within a query, you can use those aggregate functions, so you don't need to load all the data, but just the result. Then we have a lot of options for encrypted connections, because people like to, well, use transport layer encryption. And we got time functions to especially convert timestamps from FileMaker format, which is text, to what MongoDB uses as a special JSON string. Then we got preview functions. We had the problem for a long time that people like to show PDF files on their layout. For Claris, you can use, of course, interactive containers. But when you switch the record, well, it's gone. So with a plugin, you can show PDF content on your layout on Mac and Windows, independent of FileMaker. So you can show it and then switch records. The plugin doesn't care. FileMaker also doesn't care. But FileMaker, if FileMaker changes the layout, it may remove all control. Sure, can happen. But usually you show it, and you show it when you enter your situation where you need it, and then later when you get a trigger that the user switched to the layout, you remove it. No, this is for Windows and Mac. This is using the PDF component from Microsoft coming with Windows 10 and newer, and on Mac it's the Quick Look engine. So it's not a web viewer, it's the native thing on every platform. And because it's using Quick Look on Mac, we support even more file types on Mac, so you can also show a Word document if you like. Then we have a ton of PDF functions. First, we have DynaPDF, a cross-platform PDF engine, which is on the license, is an add-on to the plugin, but it can do a lot. It can create PDFs from scratch, it can edit PDFs, it can extract text and images, read and write metadata, encrypt PDFs, decrypt them, sign them, merge and split, a lot of things. Then we got Windows PDF functions for Windows 10 and newer, and they allow you to, well, query page sizes and get preview pictures from PDF files. That's using the engine from Microsoft. Then Mac and iOS come also with a PDFKit library, and there we also have functions, merge, split, extract text, do various things on PDFs. So you can decide whether you want to use the Windows functions, the Mac functions, or cross-platform functions. Yeah, the question is whether this runs on server, and yes, all the PDF functions run on server. There's nothing specific which would prevent them to run on server. Yeah. No, Windows PDF and PDFKit are built into the product, coming with the operation system, so there is no extra license fee. But DynaPDF is a separate company offering this library, and we need to get them paid. So. And for DynaPDF, we got a couple of new things, like, for example, PDF U8 support, which allows you to create a tagged PDF for universal access. That may be a thing one of your clients will just require you to do. Like they will ask, like they are working for the government, and all the PDF have to be PDF UA format. And then you will use DynaPDF to convert whatever PDF you have to this format. Same for PDF-A, which is now supported in version 4. So we can do PDF-A version 1, 2, 3, and 4 now. This is also a thing. Clients may just say, we need all PDFs as PDF-A. And then you will use our... No, the PDF standard is open source. It's made by Adobe. and they write the tools, and they of course have the best tools available. And then you have companies like here Dynaforms, which takes a spec and just write their own library. So all the PDFs are compatible. You can run them against various validators. So they validate. You can build color spaces with ICC profiles. Like if a customer says, here's a profile, I need an exact color for this text to appear on the PDF. So when we print this PDF, it's printed with a special color. Yeah, we can do that. You can use test glyphs. So if you output text on a new PDF page, you have to make sure that your font supports the characters, and the test glyph function now, that's a brief light, so you can see if the text can be outputted in the current font. You can sign PDFs with DynaPDF, and now you can use an external source for getting the signature, like a web service. And you can add JavaScript actions. We got a nice example to use JavaScript in Adobe Reader to actually calculate the sum of several fields. So you enter something, and also we got actions to send the PDF. So if you fill out a PDF in Acrobat Reader, you can have a submit button which actually uploads the PDF to your server. And then you can, of course, import the values from the fields. And if you create annotations, we can now make custom annotations on the PDF with your own drawing. So you can draw whatever text you like. And the slides are available on my website already, and the movie. So OCR functions. A lot of people have pictures from invoices and like to get some text. So we have 3 ways. We have the possibility to use a Tesseract engine, currently in version 5, with over 100 languages supported. So if you have some English, Dutch, Italian, whatever text, you can do that. On Windows, Microsoft brings their own OCR engine. So on Windows, you can install several language packs for your user and then enjoy all these languages for OCR. And we are using the system libraries, so you can just do that. Or on Mac, there's also the Vision framework, which does also use machine learning to do text recognition. You can use that on Mac and iOS. And we got our recognize text function upgraded to not just take a picture, but also take a PDF if needed, or use the OCR for Windows. So you have one function for 3 platforms. Then we got curl functions. FileMaker, you can do insert from URL, and with our plugin, you can do a lot more. We got, for example, last year, OAuth for Microsoft Office 365 to authenticate, because a lot of people like to send their emails over the service. So we have to authenticate to send emails, but also to receive emails with the plugin. But our setup OAuth function can also be used with other services. Then we got WebSocket functions, which allow you to, well, connect to a server using WebSockets. And also we got the curl options function, which helps you for debugging because it can list all the options you set on a curl session. Oops. And you can create the debug messages. Then we have webhooks. Webhooks allows you to create a webhook with the plugin in FileMaker Pro, on iOS with the iOS SDK, and even on the server. So you can wait for an external notification to come in. Like we had yesterday a presentation with Stripe calling back, but the webhooks in our plugin are more for local stuff. Like as part of this OAuth authentication, we have to take a callback from JavaScript within the browser to tell us the final result. This callback runs within the machine, so talking from the web viewer to FileMaker. and we use a webhook for that. So the webhook can trigger a script for an incoming request. You get a reference number for the request. You can have several requests coming in at the same time, so you can process one after the other. You can query the status, you can respond, and you can trigger them externally via our own curl functions with insert from URL, even from FileMaker Go, or with command line tools. They can be local on the computer, so localhost. They can go over the local network. You can use a VPN to connect from far away, or you can even send them over the internet. But I usually wouldn't put your FileMaker Pro directly to the internet. You can also use them in RAW mode, which allows us to talk to devices where the callback is not HTTP, like a scale or medical device, which may just connect, send some data, because someone pressed a button also, and then you can process the bytes. Optionally, there's SSL or TLS for the encryption. And next is archive functions. So the MBS plugin can create archives like zip files, and several options with like encryption, Unicode characters, so you can have all your Asian characters or umlauts or whatever, and pick the compression level. We have some easy functions like compress container, where you just pass in your container field as input, you get back a container, and that's your zipper file. But also you can use archive compress, where you pass in a list of files. So if you have a folder with a list of files, you can just zip them up in one call. If you want something more dynamically, we have archive create, where you would create an archive in memory or on disk, and then you would loop over your data and just add files as needed from container, from files on disk, or just some text. And then when you close it, you either have the file on disk or you get back a container. If you need to extract something, we have an extract function to just extract all the files into a folder, or to just give you one file back. And since we also have a list function, you can just get the list of files in archive, and then you can extract one by one if you need and do something useful. Then we have functions for iOS. So if you have the iOS SDK and you run a script, you may want to show progress bar. We got this nice progress bar in the round version and also in the rectangle version, which then can show the progress of your script. Then we got a photo picker for Mac and iOS, which allows you to pick a picture from the user's photo library without a lot of permission dialogues. So the user picks some pictures and you only see the pictures the user selected. This is especially great if you have a solution where the user is running through somewhere and takes picture in a factory, a hotel, whatever, and then later comes back to his FileMaker Pro and then just picks them from the library after they synchronized. Then we have script triggers for iOS. Oops. So in FileMaker you have some standard script triggers, of course, but we added some which are very useful for iOS things, especially this go to background, come back from background. So when the user moves away to another app, you may do some things to clean up, like you may disconnect from your server, and then when they come back, you may reconnect. We can also react on orientation change or if FileMaker got an URL trigger. So the question is if we have something for desktop to trigger a script when you select a window. And there is no direct function, but there is a blog post which I wrote, which uses our schedule functions to just check every few seconds if something changed. And then we got a trigger for like moving or activating windows. So the plugin will just check every second and only if a change happened, trigger your script. And you may try that. And because you can change the calculation, you can have some things like only trigger at maximum once a second, or only trigger if you moved a lot of, or...
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Photo picker. Could it be load from pictures? You would need to add another function to.
Now, the first thing is, the question is if photo picker are a way for FileMaker Go to upload pictures.
The other way.
Yeah, but the photo picker is just to access the photo library from the user. And with FileMaker Go, you may just tell the user, just take the pictures, and on your Mac, you can just pick them from the picker.
Because you use the sync,
Yeah,
sync functionality.
yeah, with iCloud. Yeah,
Photo.
that was the idea here. Okay, so we have an app swipe gesture recognizer. And that's if you run your iOS app and the user swipes and you like to change the layout on the swipe. Then you get a script triggered if the user is swiping. Then we have fidgets. Fidgets are little devices made by Fidgets Inc., like sensors, motors, displays, digital or analog input-output devices, and you can control them from FileMaker with our plugin. Yeah, you can connect on Mac and Windows to whatever devices are connected. You can connect them with USB or Bluetooth, and then do things like build your own weather station, or have some code in your FileMaker script to, well, set a signal to digital port, and then this triggers maybe your garage door or whatever. I mean, it's a lot of things possible for automation. They have a ton of sensors. So no, this is just an example PCB on the picture. This is a LCD screen and an interface kit on the back. And the interface kit has this digital and analog input-output ports. But we have on the booth also a temperature sensor, a light sensor, and a slide control for you to try out if you like. Then bootstrapping. Some people like to automate the installation of the MBS plugin. And what do you do if you don't have a plugin yet and you like to get it? So you can load a special JSON file from our website. This JSON file contains details about all the available versions, about the available plugins for the current version. Then you can pick the right URL. You can download this URL with insert from URL into a container field. And then you can use the install plugin script step to install. The JSON file currently looks like this. It has all the different builds for the different operation systems, some version information, and we are currently in discussion with several plugin vendors if we could standardize this format so you could use it for several plugins. Then we have important upgrades. So even if a newer plugin doesn't have a new feature you need or bug fix you need, you may still want to update the plugin and with us stay on top of all those versions. So like OpenSSL is a library we use for, well, SSL encryption, and because it's a popular library, a lot of people are looking there for security problems, and they're finding them. So currently we have version 3.1, I think, and I keep updating those libraries from time to time. OpenSSL 3 got new ciphers, which is important because newer websites require you to use more secure ciphers to do the connection, and if you come with an old software application, you can't connect anymore. Then we keep updating the curl version. There have been important bug fixes. You may have heard in the press, sometimes curl gets listed there with a security issue, and then everyone is asked to update. And also for SSH, there have been new encryption schemes. So if you have an old plugin, you can't connect to a new server. Then we have the functionality to show a list dialog. This shows a list of items independent of FileMaker. Your user can search in the filter field and shows only a few, and then use selection or the checkboxes to pick some items. And if you change your search, the checkboxes stay, so you can make several searches to add checkboxes. And on the end, you can ask what the user picked. And because this is a dialog by the plugin, you don't need to swap the layout, you don't need to show a card window, and you can basically do it from anywhere. You can use a let statement to just show a dialog, pick something, and continue in your calculation. Yeah, you have several columns of values, and there is an invisible column for your tag. And that can usually be your record ID or whatever. And then there is even more. We can run JavaScript with the WebKit engine, and that got updated to not just work on Mac and iOS, but also on Windows and Linux. So if you have a need to run JavaScript without a web viewer, you can do that in a plugin with 2 different JavaScript libraries. Your choice. Then no, we provide the JavaScript engine, and then you can load in a JavaScript library to make calls. For example, I have this example for telephone number formatting, where you load the library into the JavaScript environment, and then you run JavaScript calls to format phone numbers. But you can load whatever JavaScript you like. But it's JavaScript without a web viewer. So there is no document dot something. Then for graphics magic, we got support for loading and writing WebP documents. So if you work on a website content management and you need the file format, you can use it. If you're doing a download in a web viewer, we have script triggers, so you can be informed if the user on a Mac clicked on a link in a web viewer which triggers a download, and then you can get a trigger when it's done, so you can pick up the file. Then if you use Dropbox or iCloud to synchronize files, you can use the plugin to query the status. Also request a file to be downloaded or evict, so you save some space. And we have a lot of functions for reading and writing Excel documents with libxl, and there we got new functions for working with form controls. So that would be a special type of Excel file with buttons or checkboxes, and you can control them with the plugin. And then we have some goodies for macOS, because we can and can't. Yeah. Oh yeah, we have to come to the end. So you can indent text, shift left and right. You can sort scripts by ID or name up and down. You can use code folding if you like to see where to hide some code. You can, in the debugger, use the tooltips to see values of fields or variables. You can use auto-completion to not misspell your variable names. You can use URLs in your comments to get this little widget here on the side to open them in the browser. Works also for mail links and FMP URLs. Can now also be used with goto to jump to lines, so you can have an index page in your script with script links to jump to a different script. We got the search field upgraded now with regular expressions if you turn it on. You can check variable names, and we can now even use comments to declare variables declared in a let statement. For Windows, we got on the way a little search box for the relationship graph. And I want to highlight the trace feature. You can use the MBS trace function to log all the plugin calls. You can see them live in the console app on Mac then, or in iOS, for iOS with the Xcode window, and for Linux by using the tail command on the log file, and for Windows with debug view. So you see what's happening in your scripts. See if the parameters are correct and what result is coming back. If you need a license, we have a free tier with about 2,000 functions to try the plugin, enjoy a few of the goodies. We have a trial license, which allows you to test the plugin for months or a few weeks, yeah. And we have paid licenses. Full version, enjoy everything. So if you need a new license, there's an offer for the conference with a coupon code. And now we are questions and answers, if we still have time. Wonderful. So, if you have a question, please come to the booth. Thank you.